Many of you may have seen the movie Iron Man, which was released in 2008. Here, I will explain all the films in the Marvel series sequentially. Subscribe to the channel to relive all your past cinematic encounters. Welcome to Film Recap Zone. Today, we're recapping the classic superhero movie, Iron Man. Let's get started. The film starts by showing the border of Afghanistan, where the US military is stationed, waiting for a man named Tony, who is a weapons designer. Tony arrives shortly after and demonstrates a rocket to the military, claiming that his company developed it. He explains that this single rocket is powerful enough to devastate an entire country. The rocket is then tested on site. Tony's presence there is to negotiate a contract with military officials, a deal that could make him incredibly wealthy. After the demonstration, he departs. As Tony leaves, an attempt is made to hijack his vehicle. The military officials try to protect him, but the attackers kill them. Tony manages to escape from the vehicle, seeking safety. However, nearby is a bomb from his own company, which unexpectedly detonates, injuring him. The narrative then shifts to the previous day, where Tony is being honored as the best weapons manufacturer. The company he leads was founded by his father in partnership with a friend. Although Tony is supposed to receive an award, he is absent from the ceremony, leaving someone else to accept it on his behalf. Turns out Tony is at a casino, where the person who accepted his award finds him. Handing over the award, Tony remarks that he has no space at home to keep it and leaves it behind. A journalist questions Tony about his feelings on producing weapons, particularly lethal ones capable of destroying entire nations. Tony responds confidently, stating that he is indeed satisfied because, without building these weapons, enemies would target them. Afterward, he spends some time with the journalist. Later, Tony is informed that his plane to Afghanistan is ready. He flies there on a private jet. Back in the present, Tony wakes up to find himself connected to a battery. Confused, he asks a man standing nearby why the batteries are attached to him, trying to understand his situation. The man explains to Tony that numerous pieces of shrapnel entered his body during the explosion. These fragments were too small to remove, so they used an electromagnet to prevent them from reaching his heart. He reassures Tony not to worry. It becomes clear that a terrorist group has kidnapped Tony. The group's leader then approaches Tony and says, "Do you know why I brought you here after capturing you? I admired the rocket you designed. As you know, the US military is occupying our country's border. I want you to make the same rocket for us. I'll release you once you hand over the rocket after using it against them." Tony firmly refuses, saying, "Not at all." The man standing next to Tony advises him not to resist, saying, "You have no other choice. This is an area where neither the military nor your friends can find you." This man, it turns out, is also a weapons manufacturer and was captured by the terrorists as well. Tony and the other man begin devising a plan to escape. While escaping seems nearly impossible, they decide to take the risk. The man mentions wanting to return to his family, while Tony admits, "I have no family, just a driver and an assistant." They came up with the idea to build an indestructible suit to protect themselves if attacked while escaping. The man tells Tony that the electromagnet in his body can be powered by a battery, which he has attached to Tony. They realize they need a strong battery to power the suit. Meanwhile, the terrorist leader continues to supply them with materials, believing they are building the rocket for him, as he doesn't understand the technical requirements for constructing a rocket. However, he eventually learns about the suit they are building and, in a fit of rage, injures the man assisting Tony. Tony successfully activates the suit and incorporates the electromagnet's power into it. Using the suit, he starts eliminating many of the terrorists and escapes from the cave. Upon emerging outside, he destroys all the weapons. He then takes off using the suit's rocket launcher and crashes in a desert, where his team finds him. They take him back to their former home. Tony's father's friend Stane, who co-founded the arms industry with him, is also there. Tony says, "I want to be on a live stream and hold a press conference." It's been revealed that Tony is speaking to the press. He explains that he was kidnapped by Afghans, who demanded he manufacture weapons for them. He expresses regret, believing that his weapons are causing destruction. He announces the closure of his weapons production, saying, "I'm shutting down my industry. I won't manufacture such weapons anymore." However, Stane contradicts him, claiming that Tony has only recently arrived and is unstable, speaking nonsense. Tony leaves, and the man follows him, asking what happened and how he escaped from Afghanistan. Tony reveals the full story, including how he built an iron suit to escape. The man, intrigued, asks to see it. Tony removes his shirt, showing a piece of the iron suit embedded in his body. The man is amazed and suggests they showcase it to the world and capitalize on it. Conflicted, Tony goes to his assistant and tells her he has created a more advanced arc reactor than the one currently in his body, asking her to replace it. The assistant asks how it works, and Tony explains that it prevents metal shards in his body from reaching his heart and generates additional power. Meanwhile, a group of terrorists finds parts of the iron suit in the desert and starts examining them, trying to figure out what they are. Tony is also working on building a new iron suit, enhancing it with more powerful rocket launchers to aid in flying. He tests the suit and orders its electric generator to take him higher. As he ascends, the suit begins to freeze due to the cold, causing system errors. He starts to fall but manages to fly again as the ice melts off. Upon returning home, he adjusts the suit's mechanism to prevent it from freezing at high altitudes. In the evening, Tony attends a party where his assistant is also present. They relax, dance, and enjoy each other's company. A press journalist who had previously questioned Tony also arrives at the party. She informs Tony that similar rockets are being produced in Afghanistan. She questions whether this is happening under his supervision or if he ordered it. Tony becomes furious, suspecting that his Stane and the industry's investor are responsible. He confronts the man, asking if he was the one who authorized the production of the rockets. The man admits it, saying, "Yes, I had to do it." Tony, angered, responds, "Do you realize that terrorists are using these rockets to kill many people there? You've supported the very terrorists we should be fighting. This is not the mission of our industry." The man dismisses his concerns, and Tony returns home, determined to address the situation himself. He upgrades his suit, making it more powerful and equipping it with various technologies, including small rockets. Tony then flies to Afghanistan wearing the suit, where he confronts and fights the terrorists, including their leader. He launches a small rocket from his suit, causing a massive explosion that devastates the area. The local Air Force detects the explosion but cannot locate Tony, the Iron Man. Afterward, Tony contacts Rhodey to demand accountability and recognition for his actions. He tells him, "I've destroyed everything. Please handle this situation." When asked who was involved in the attacks, he suggests that many enemies may have acted together, thereby keeping Tony out of suspicion. Stane is surprised to hear this and asks if anyone disappeared after the attack. He quickly heads to Afghanistan to speak with the terrorists. The terrorists reveal they know who's behind everything, but they're keeping quiet for now until they uncover the full truth. They say it's Iron Man, as they found parts of his suit in the desert. The terrorists offer to reveal the suit's design if paid, but Stane refuses and instead retrieves the suit, threatening them. Tony learns that someone has taken his old suit. He tells his assistant, "I must stop him at all costs. This information cannot get out, or he might wreak havoc using my name." Tony's assistant goes to the office of Stane and hacks all the data from his computer. She discovers that he was the one who arranged for Tony's kidnapping by the terrorists, as he didn't want Tony to have any stake in the company. Shocked by this revelation, she prepares to leave, but the man whose computer she hacked arrives. She manages to engage him in conversation and escape, but he's sharp and realizes she hacked his computer. As she's leaving, the man asks, "Do you know Tony? Can you arrange a meeting with him for an interview? I need to ask him something." Meanwhile, Stane grows increasingly anxious, knowing that Tony is very powerful and aware of his involvement. The man instructs a scientist to build an arc reactor similar to the one in Tony's body. However, the reactor size is much larger than what was requested, and it would take time to complete. In a fit of rage, Stane storms into Tony's home and forcibly removes the arc reactor from Tony's chest, leaving him weakened and vulnerable. Without the reactor, Tony's life is in danger. He remembers that his assistant had given him an older arc reactor. Desperately, he equips himself with his suit and replaces the missing reactor with the old one to power it. Meanwhile, Stane, now possessing Tony's original power source, has constructed a formidable machine called Iron Monger. He installs the arc reactor taken from Tony into this massive iron suit, activating its immense powers. As Iron Monger comes to life, Tony arrives to confront him, leading to an intense battle. They clash in the streets, and Tony recalls that Iron Monger's suit isn't fully functional and will freeze at high altitudes. Tony quickly ascends into the sky, with Iron Monger in pursuit. As predicted, Iron Monger's suit freezes, and he begins to fall. Upon landing, Iron Monger powers up again and continues to attack Tony. Their fight leads them to the laboratory where the powerful arc reactor is being developed by scientists working for Stane. Realizing the danger, Tony quickly tells his assistant, "Overload the reactor. I'll get out immediately, and Iron Monger will be caught off guard." His assistant follows his instructions, causing the reactor to emit a burst of energy waves. These waves engulf Iron Monger, ultimately leading to his demise. The next day, Tony faces a press conference, where everyone praises him and asks if he is Iron Man. A man advises him to downplay his involvement, suggesting he say it was a dispute between security guards and Stane died of natural causes. As Tony stands before the crowd with a prepared statement, his friend quietly urges him to tell the truth. Tony then boldly declares, "I am Iron Man." With this revelation, the world learns that Tony Stark is the real Iron Man, and here ends Iron Man Part 1. In a post-credits scene, S.H.I.E.L.D. director Nick Fury visits Stark at his home. He tells Stark that Iron Man isn't the only superhero in the world, and expresses his interest in discussing the Avengers Initiative. So guys, how did you like the first part of the series? Let me know by commenting. Give me a like to inspire me, and subscribe to the channel to support me.